So welcome back to part 2 of the notes. Now we're going to start taking more information that we know and putting it together to use the point-slope formula. So first thing we're going to do is start with number 5. I'm going to make it a lot bigger. Okay, we're given 2 points. So before we do anything, we don't have a slope. We're going to have to use our 2 points to find the slope. So I'm going to go ahead and just label them. Data point 1 and data point 2, so x1, y1, x2, y2, and go ahead and put these guys into my slope formula. So my slope equals -5 minus 6 over -2 minus -4. 5 minus 6 is -1. -2 minus negative, that minus negative becomes a plus. So -2 plus 4 is 2. So my slope is -1/2. Then using my point slope formula, I can use either point. So first one, I'm going to write it using this first point. So I'm going to say y minus 6 equals -1/2 x minus -4, which is the same as y minus 6 equals -1/2 x plus 4. So there's my first one. Or I could choose instead to use the second point. It doesn't matter which point I choose. If I chose to use the second point, I would say y minus 5 equals -1/2 parentheses x minus -2, which really simplifies into y minus 5 equals -1/2 x plus 2. Either one of those will work just fine. Okay, now number 6, they gave us 2 points on a line, and they want us to write a point-slope equation. So I want you to do the same process. I want you to use the 2 points and either use the slope formula or count up your rise over run to get slope, and then picking one of the 2 points, write an equation. Pause your video to do this and then check back for the explanation. Okay, once you figure out that the slope is a +2, I went ahead and wrote the point slope form using each of the different points, so you can just check to see which one you did. Okay, on number 7, they've given us 2 ordered pairs, but they gave it to us in function notation. So take a deep breath, pause your video, and write your 2 ordered pairs. Then follow the process and write it in slope-intercept form. So pause your video now and then check back for the explanation. Okay, once you remembered that the x values are what's in the parentheses, so you could put those into the x part of your ordered pair, and the y values are what it equaled, and I wrote both of the equations in point-slope formula. Okay, so look at number 8. I want everyone to kind of think about number 8 for a minute. We have 2 point-slope equations that we wrote in number 5 using each of the 2 different points. I want you to pause for a minute and solve both of those for y. In other words, get both of those into slope-intercept form and tell me what you notice. So pause your video to do that and then check back for the discussion. So it doesn't really matter which one of the point slope formulas you solved. They both came out to the same exact slope-intercept form of y equals -1/2 x plus 4. So the conclusion you can draw from that is both of those equations in question number 5, both of those different point slope equations were equivalent equations written in different forms, and when you solved them for the slope-intercept form, it showed that everything was just the same. Okay, so take a moment now, and I want you to look at number 10. I want you to read the whole question. Then I want you to pause the video, and you'll have to use all your different steps to come up with the slope using 2 of the points from the table, and then write the point-slope formula, and then turn the video back on to check for the explanation. Okay, notice that I used the first 2 points to get my slope, and then I just picked the first point to write my point-slope formula. You could have picked any of the 2 points and selected any point and still gotten to a correct answer. Okay, on the last one, number 11, when you're reading it, it's giving you some information, and part A is just asking what information are you given, because part of the trick is to figure out, have I been given information to do a slope-intercept equation, or have I been given information to do a standard equation, or have I been given information for a point-slope equation? And oftentimes, whatever information you're given, you'll have to convert it to another format in order to finish getting the answers. And that's what happens in number 11. So I want you to read through the situation, figure out what you've been given, and then work on solving all parts of the equation. Give it your very best shot, and then have your video paused while you're working, and then start it back up for the explanation. Okay, welcome back. Notice they did not give us a y-intercept, so we did not have data to do a slope-intercept formula, but we did have data for point-slope. So once I wrote my equation in letter B in point-slope formula, I went down below all my letters and solved that for y. In other words, I converted it to a slope-intercept formula. And with my slope-intercept formula, then in part D, I took 7 hours and I put in 7 for my x value and was able to solve it for y to get the answer to part D.